So yesterday I made a video about this whole Jordan Neely murder, and I wanted to make that video because I like to talk about I like to spread the message to black people that, if you want any real change, you have to pull your money from this white economic system. And so that's what that video was focused on. And so when I make those videos, I try to write everything down so I can be coherent and not miss any points. But I actually did miss out on saying certain things because I wanted to focus on the solution to the problem. Not, commentary is important. It's a good thing, but as black people and people in general, people around the world, we need solutions to this problem where wealthy people kind of dictate our reality. So that video was focused on those. This one, though, I'm making because I didn't get to say certain things in yesterday's video. This really disgusting. This whole thing in general is just disgusting. The murder itself is disgusting, but it's not as disgusting as some other things. Murder happens. You have people who are just animals, who are demonic, who are desperate, whatever. There's a whole host of reasons why people murder, but it happens. That's a part of life. What is really disturbing, though, is that on this planet, an entire group of people just want, how can I put this? An entire group of people, because of their jealousy and hatred for another group, they will condone, promote, excuse any sort of demonic act against that group that they're jealous of or that group that they hate. So the fact that this guy murdered this this guy, his name is Daniel Penny from Long Island. The fact that Daniel Penny murdered Jordan Neely, while obviously that's horrible, again, that happens every day. So it's horrible, but it's a horrible thing that happens every day. The really disgusting thing is you go on and you go online or on television or whatever, and you see all of these white people I mean, demonic animals who will sit there and knowingly try to excuse this execution, knowing that the victim Jordan Neely was a this guy had mental issues. He was homeless. The city that his family's taxes pay for, they just kind of abandoned him. These people are closing down homeless shelters that are supposed to help people like Jordan Neely. They're closing them down and kicking those people onto the street. Then, when those people who are homeless, for whatever reason, they have mental issues, when they're out amongst the general population, and they do things that genuinely unnerve people, but they're people have mental problems. When they're doing things that genuinely unnerve people, everyone's saying, "Well, just murder them. We don't want to be inconvenienced in our lives by these people that we've thrown onto the street and we've thrown into the gutter." I mean, it's like some shit from a fucking movie or something. You have poorer people that the wealthy are just throwing in the streets because they want to bring in immigrants who will help make them richer because they're able to pay them less. The desperate immigrants that come here will work for pennies, so they're kicking out the homeless people here who aren't of any financial benefit to them. So they have no problem throwing them in the street, and in places that were set up by the taxpayers to help these people, that's being used now for immigrants who are coming in so that those immigrants can then go out, work for pennies, and make the wealthy people even wealthier. And then after throwing these people out onto the street, they get upset that these homeless people who have mental issues are inconveniencing them. So it's okay to just execute them if they decide to if they do something that I don't like. And it's in general, it is white society talking about executing black homeless people with mental issues. You're not going to hear this story if some skinny white homeless kid with mental issues was screaming because he's starving and he's at his wits end. He doesn't know what to do in life, and then somebody just comes up and executes him. I mean, it's not as if, I mean, God, the story in itself, it's not as if this guy was charging at people with a knife and he was just like, I'm crazy, I have nothing to lose, and someone took out a gun and shot him. That's bad in itself, but you can understand that. This guy's just yelling. It's not illegal to yell. It's not a crime to yell. He wasn't breaking any law. He was doing things that maybe unnerved some people, but he wasn't attacking anyone. He wasn't doing anything illegal. He wasn't breaking anything. He was just doing something that made people a little nervous, maybe. And as a result, this Daniel Penny guy decides, well, I'm just gonna take this opportunity because I'm a pathetic loser and I don't like black people because I feel that they're better than me. So I'm gonna take this opportunity to murder this person. Um, and white society's coming out and excusing it. Now, to be fair, because I don't want people to think I'm just one of those bigots who's just a bigot because I'm a bigot. I'm not a loser and I'm not jealous of white people. So I will honestly say, obviously, this doesn't apply to all of white people. There are white people out there protesting, complaining, white people standing up for Jordan Neely and trying to make sure that this crime doesn't go unpunished. So I don't want to say it's just white people in general, but too many, I would say most white people are out there trying to excuse this and just looking at it and just saying, well, we just don't like black people. So if a black person dies or gets choked to death, do you understand that Jordan Neely was tortured to death? Do you understand what somebody goes through, what goes on in their mind when their airflow is being choked off, cut off, and then someone else comes down and they're looking you in the face and holding your arms, and you can't even get your arm, your body is struggling to get the air back, but someone else is restraining you and keeping you from doing that while this other person chokes off your air supply. And then you slowly just start to become unconscious and pass out and die. That's torture. That's like waterboarding somebody. So this guy is tortured to death, and a large portion of white society is out there saying, well, we just don't like black people. So the fact that this person with mental issues was tortured to death, well, we like that. Our hatred and jealousy for black people is so big and so uh, uh, um, dominating that we as long as a black person is murdered, it doesn't matter the circumstance, it doesn't matter the person, it doesn't matter the reason, none of that matters. We just want niggers to die. You know how demonic and sick that is? And especially when you think about black people aren't black society isn't doing anything to hurt white people. That's not a thing. That has never been a thing. I don't know, maybe it's been a thing, I don't know, centuries and centuries ago. I have no idea. But in the past several centuries, that's not a thing. American black society, we don't have any history of targeting and attacking or harassing white people. That's not a thing that we do. We just exist. And the fact that we exist is such a is such a horrible thing to white people that they will they are happy at the torture and murder of innocents. They'll sit there and say, "Oh, well, I don't a black person died, that's all I want." And it's funny when you look at certain things like what was that one that that terrorist white terrorist attack on the Capitol in January of 2021 or whenever it happened. And those people storm the Capitol. They're destroying things, threatening people's lives, and actually posing an actual threat. There's a huge mass of them with weapons. They're breaking into rooms, threatening people's lives, and a police officer uses his firearm because these people are about to break in and do who knows what. And they've made their intentions clear. We're coming in and we're coming to get you. And this guy takes out his gun and he fires, and one of the terrorists gets hit and dies.
She might be dying right now. 35-year-old.
And white society was like, oh, no, no, there is no reason to murder a white person. No reason. And there's all this outrage and anger at the police officer who they normally protect when the police officers are killing black people. There's all this outrage against the police officer. You never hurt a white person. You never do that.
There's a woman in this room whose daughter was murdered on January 6th, Ashley Babbitt. And Ashley Babbitt there's never been a trial. As a matter of fact, no one has cared about the person that shot and killed her. And no one in this Congress has really addressed that issue. January 6th committee didn't address it. And I believe that there are many people that came into the Capitol on January 6th whose civil rights and liberties are being violated heavily. And this committee will, I hope, Mr. Chairman, look into those civil rights abuses.
And then something like this happens, and they're like, "Oh well, a random white citizen just executed and tortured another innocent citizen to death who happened to be black. Well, that's a good thing." What about what about your anger and rage at people being murdered? Like when the terrorist was murdered, the white female terrorist was murdered. Where did all that rage and anger go? How come now you're just okay with it? And they're just okay with it because they hate black people. There's just like this jealousy and this rage against black people. And it's funny, I just made a video this week, I guess, about the Cleopatra thing. And in that I talked about this pathetic jealousy because there's no other explanation for it. Why would you hate and blindly hate an entire group of people that you don't even, most of these white people who are racist and hate black people, they don't even live around blacks. They live in rural areas where there's like pockets of just white people. They don't live around them. They don't see them, interact with them. And if they do live around them, then most of the time there's no interaction with them. You don't even have to speak to us. We won't speak to you. We just live here. But there is this rage within them about us, and you have to be able to explain that rage. Why else would they be so rage filled unless there's some sort of jealousy? What's the reason? What could the reason be why these people hate us so much? They hate the fact that we're here. We just want you to leave. Well, we didn't ask to come here. Our ancestors and family members were brought here. What do you want us to do? Just jump in the ocean? We didn't ask to come here. It's not like we migrated here and broke into your home and just decided to take up space and live here. We were already here. People kidnapped us and brought us here. You just wanted us after you were done making money off of us. You just wanted us to just drop dead and disappear. What kind of demonic, animalistic, sick hatred and logic is that? You hate black people because you don't like living around them. You don't like the fact that they're here. You want us to go home. We didn't ask to come here. Do you not understand that? We didn't ask to be here. Your family members brought us here to help make themselves rich financially. They passed those riches down to you, and now you're just mad that we're still here. What the fuck are we supposed to do? Disappear? You want us to go back home? We don't know where home is because this is our home. So where do you want us to go? You want us to go back to Africa? What part of Africa? What are we supposed to do when we get to Africa? Where are we supposed to live? How are we supposed to build houses? What are we supposed to build them from? You're going to give us money to go back there? You don't want to give us money now. So what the fuck do you expect us to do? None of that logic is in their heads because there is this blind hatred. And if you can't explain where that hatred comes from, well, the only logical line of logic for me is that, well, you just are jealous of us. That's where the rage would come from. It's different if you don't like somebody. I don't get along with these people. I don't like their music. I don't like the way they talk. I don't like the way that they act. Whatever. That's one thing. I don't like them, and I want to separate from them. That's whatever. That's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But it's not that. It's a hatred. It's like, I just want you people. I revel in the fact that you people die and get murdered by us. I like when you people die. What? Well, why? If you don't live near us, and where is that coming from? The only reason you would have that kind of blind rage where you just want these people to be hurt is, well, there's something about them that makes you jealous. There is something out there that is building this blind rage within you. And black people, you got to figure that out and understand it. All this trying to be around white people and to date them, and I don't know why people waste their time, because there are so many of them. Again, it's not all of white society, but there's so many of them that you have no idea. what community you move into, how many of them live there. It may be the whole fucking community. You might date someone, they may secretly hate you, or their family members or friends, and they will be plotting against you and behind your back. You have no ideas, and interacting with these people at this point is just stupidity. I mean, there's no fixing this. These people have, for centuries at this point, just hated our existence, and all we've done is breathe. That's all we do. We breathe and we live. We live in the places where we're forced to be, and we just exist there. And then the white people come moving into our. Then they come to gentrify our area, so they come moving into where we live, and then just want us to disappear. So we're forced out of that area. We move somewhere else, and then a couple decades later, the white people start moving around us again. And it's hilarious. So I don't know what to do. And black people, you got to pay attention to this stuff. And I don't know. I don't know how else to say it or what else to say, but it should be apparent at this point. White people, white society, and again, it's not all white people, but it's so many of them that it practically makes up the society, because you don't know which people within the society hate you. Because even the ones that are on our side, and even the ones that don't hate us and they actually like us, they're not pointing out the racists, because a lot of the racists are in their friend circles or their family members, so they hide and protect them. So you don't know who within the white society harbors this jealousy and this hatred. So in my mind, it's just white society, because I don't know which one of you are secretly sitting there looking at me saying, I just wish this person would die because I don't like the fact that his skin is brown. I don't know which one of you, when I'm looking at a group, I don't know which ones are like, oh, this guy's cool and he seems like a nice person, or which one of you just don't even care. It's one way or the other. You just see me as another person, another human, or which one of you are looking at me and saying, you know what, I wish I could shoot that guy in the head and execute him. Why? I don't know. I just hate him for no reason. I don't even know him. I don't know which ones are harboring that. So I have to look at just white society in general. And white society has proven at this point that, look, we have this irrational hatred and rage against black people, and that irrational hatred, rage, and jealousy causes us to do some really sick, demonic things to these people. And black people, you have to understand that, and you have to separate yourselves as much as possible. I don't know what else to say at this point. And one of the main ways you separate is by taking your money away from them. When you go into these white stores and the white business owners like, hi, how are you? And they're smiling at you. Yeah, they're smiling at you because you're going to help build them up financially with your money. And then once you leave, they're like, man, I wish I didn't have to serve these niggers. You go into these restaurants and the waiter or waitress comes up to you and they're like, hi, how are you? And it's a white person and they're really nice to you. Yeah, they're being nice to you because you help them make money. That's their job. They go in the back and who knows? They could be like, look, there's a nigger family sitting out there spitting their food. I've been in southern places and in restaurants, and a white person will come up to me like, "Oh, hi, we had this extra, what was it, peach cobbler or something? Do you want it?" And I'm sitting there like, "Why is this white person giving me free food? They're not just giving it out to other people. Where did that come from? I threw that shit in the garbage because I don't know what these people are doing in the back. I don't know which ones are sitting there hating me and which ones are just normal, regular white people." So black people, you got to separate from this. This guy Daniel Penny's from Long Island. I'm from New York. Long Island is one of the most racist places on the planet. If you are driving through Long Island and you're black, you better pay attention to the fucking speed. I don't know how it is now, but growing up, you better pay attention to the speed limit. Use your signal. Don't give them any reason to pull you over, because they'll pull you over for no reason and just be like, "Look, what are you doing in this area?" And just harass you for no reason. You're just driving. Maybe you're going to the store. Maybe you work there. Maybe you live there. And they're just going to, no, we're going to pull you over and harass you because, well, you look a certain way that we don't like. So I had to make this because I didn't focus enough on Daniel Penny and his race of people who were doing these things. The organizations that are hiding this information. You look at these news organizations. I mean, just the fact that these white-run businesses, that these white-run news organizations, that they're hiding this guy, that's unheard of. He's a murder suspect. Why can't you give his name? I've never heard of that before. And he's not a cop. He's not a government employee. Why would they hide this person? And how does every single white organization know that they're supposed to hide this guy's name? You have to ask yourselves that. All of these white run news organizations, how do they all know that they are all supposed to hide his information? Are they sending out notifications to each one? Is Fox News corresponding with MSNBC? How are they all knowing that? Every news organization not giving this guy's name, nothing. And they all know it. It's white societies. It's from top to bottom. It's the poor hillbillies in the rural areas. They hate you, all the way up to the wealthy ones who should have no reason to hate you. That you're wealthy, you are white, so you belong to this group that is known as one of the most powerful groups on the planet. You have all the money you need. You can just go out there and live life and be happy, and you don't even need to live near us. You can move to a place where where black people won't even be able to afford it. You can just move somewhere and not have to see us. Move it to I've been to communities where it's like 99.9% white people. Move to one of those communities. You don't have to interact with us. You have money. You have power. You have your family. You have everything that any human would need to have a normal or a good life. You can travel whenever you want because you have so much money. Yet, despite all that, these people still, when it comes to harming black people, they're still on working with the other whites and saying, yeah, we want to specifically target them. So these people hate us across the board. Now I know it's not just hate. I know that it's when it comes to wealthy people, that wealthy people are doing this because or they engage in this because it's a tactic that the wealthy use to make us targets. So and to give the other poorer whites something to target on. I know that. I mean that's the real reason. But still, the fact that you're a wealthy person and you would engage in that activity to make black people the target so that people don't turn around and look at you when you and your friends start doing all the crimes that you do in order to enrich yourselves at the expense of the masses, including the poor whites. Another issue I always get annoyed with is the fact that poor whites, working class whites, middle class whites, who are all they're kind of in the same boat as us where they're suffering. You have rich white companies dumping poison into their drinking water, rich white companies using their money to rig the rules so that they can make their dangerous addictive products like opioids or cigarettes illegal, and they know that it's going to destroy white communities entirely. I mean, growing up, lung cancer, secondhand smoke that was wiping out white people. Opioids came around, turning white children and white patients into drug addicts, and that has led to a lot of the homelessness and shit that you see, a lot of the joblessness and the destruction in these white communities, like places like Seattle or places like Portland, all these different white areas that have been just devastated by other wealthy white people. White people in places like Kentucky and West Virginia purposely dumping their waste in the drinking water of the poorer whites because they don't want to the spending the money to dispose of it properly is too costly, and because they don't want to spend the money, they'll just dump the poison in the drinking water of the white people. And the white people getting all kinds of diseases and cancers. White run companies in places like California stealing the drinking water of poorer whites and then using their money to rig the rules so that the government doesn't stop the theft of the drinking water that's supposed to be for everybody, and they allow these rich white companies to just take it for themselves so that they can grow their product and sell it and make more money. The fact that the white organizations are coming out and making sure that white people don't have access to proper medical care because you don't have the money to cover it. Because instead of using your tax dollars to be able to pay for health care, well, the white people, they need that money for themselves. So they're going to make sure that you have to invest more money into these white run insurance companies who then deny you coverage and make sure that if you go to the hospital, you've been paying me premiums every month, but we're going to charge you another deductible, a co-insurance, and all this extra money. So it's going to become practically impossible for most of you to actually get really important health coverage. So you'll just ignore it because you're poor and you can't pay it, and then that health issue will build up and make it even worse. And it just causes a spiral where you eventually become too sick to even take care of it. Now you just got to live off of medicines, putting yourself in more debt. All these different things that these rich white companies are doing to make money for themselves at the expense of the poorer whites, the poor, the working class, and the middle class whites. And instead of focusing on all that shit that I just went through, white people are like, well, I hate niggers because they listen to music that is different than what I like. I hate black people and I want to focus on them because I believe that their penises are larger than mine. I believe that the women age better and have better bodies and fuller lips. And I just don't like them. They're strong and fast and they can jump. And I don't feel that I can do that stuff. I hate them as a result. But what about all the people that are actually making your life worse? Oh, well, I can't do anything about that. So instead of dealing with that, I'm just going to focus on hating niggers. That's pathetic. That's pathetic, and it's so irrational that that's why I say it's jealousy. Why else would that happen? You know that there's a problem with these wealthy white companies coming after you, doing everything that they can to destroy you and your way of life. And instead of focusing on them, oh, I'm going to focus on hating black people and going online and harassing them. And when they're murdered, going online and doing everything that I can to try to rub salt in the wound and to distract from any progress that they make and to work to make sure that they can't make any progress. I, that's why would you do that unless there's this irrational jealousy within you that's making you that angry. So this is a rant, but I didn't want to just skip over that. One last thing that I wanted to say is I've been not always, but I've made two videos in the past talking about a potential purge against the black community. And again, I'll go over that really quickly. I believe that it's not going to be like a purge like the movie, but it's going to be, I believe, something that is allowed. So right now the country things are starting to break down. Other countries are withdrawing their dependence upon our dollar, which is going to weaken the dollar. We're maybe running out of money by June or some shit like that. Banks are closing, people are becoming homeless, jobs are disappearing, and things are just like spiraling out of control here. And what that means is white people are going to do this isn't me being racist, this is just the reality. White people are going to do what they've always done. They're just going to just decide, I'm going to commit crime and in order to enrich myself. And that, again, that's not racism. That's what white society has done. They've left Europe and they would just go to places and just murder people, steal from them, and take, and then say, this is mine, and now I'm great. I own this place. I own Australia. Australia is a white country. I own North America. North America is a white country. I own South Africa. South Africa is a predominantly white country. That's just something they do. So you're going to see that spiral where white people start becoming desperate and start getting angry. And like I spoke about earlier about all the wealthy white people doing these things to the poorer whites are going to be like, look, we need to go after these wealthy white people because they're the ones that are the cause of this. And now our lives, we're so destitute now that we have nothing to lose. Let's go get them. The wealthy white people don't want that to happen. So they're going to give the masses another target as a distraction, and that target is going to be black people. That's what I believe. I don't know any of this stuff. That's just, I'm basing this on things that have happened in history. So they're going to give them a target to go after, and we're going to be that target. So you're going to start seeing things just like this. Like I was telling people, random citizens, white citizens, are going to be committing murder, and then the police, the justice system, the politicians, the news organizations, all of these big white run establishments are going to excuse it and allow it and ignore it. That's going to send a message to other white people, other Asian people, Hispanic people that, look, if you murder these black people, you won't really get in trouble for it. Then they've been doing this for a while, but you're going to see it ramp up now. It's going to start happening more and more. And that's what I believe is about to happen. It's this sort of purge against the black community. Because we're the lowest group, and we're the ones that white society already knows won't really fight back if this stuff starts happening. We'll complain and we'll moan and we'll cry about it, but we aren't as violent as they say we are. They know we're not going to fight back. They know we're not going to pull What was that guy that blew up that federal building in Oklahoma? They know we're not going to do stuff like that. They know we're not going to be like the guy in Waco, Texas, that's carrying all these guns and fighting back against the police and actually murdering the police. They know that we don't do that stuff. We're not that animalistic. We're not that violent. As they say we are. So they know that, if they start killing us and murdering us and using us as a distraction or target, so that the wealthy people can either repair things here and make it kind of normal again, or they can pack up and move on and just let the country die. While they're doing that, they'll let the masses of white people focus on us. That's what I believe is happening or about to happen. So this whole thing that happened with Daniel Penny murdering Jordan Neely, and this is really out there, and I'm not saying this is the reason. This is really out there even in my mind, but I don't know. Maybe this is the case. This whole thing may have been sort of like a test, not either a test run or just a orchestrated thing to kind of start the whole purge thing, to kind of send that message out there, because this whole incident is now sending the message to other whites that, well, if we kill niggers, all we have to do is say we were scared, even though there's video proof that we had no reason to be scared. We can just say it, and that will be a code to let the white run establishments let us off the hook. That's what this whole incident is doing. So I'm like, has this incident been orchestrated? Did they have this guy, Daniel Penny, just going on to the train and waiting for another one of these homeless black people to act up? Because that's become a thing now, that you have a lot of homeless immigrant blacks, a lot of homeless blacks who have mental issues acting up because they're at their breaking point. And that's been happening a lot on the train. So did they tell this Daniel Penny guy, go on the train, you're a trained Marine, watch for one of these guys, and when you see one of them acting crazy, just kill him. We'll have it filmed, and we'll release the film, and then we will gauge and test and see how black people react. Again, that sounds crazy, but crazier things have happened. So who knows? But this is just so. This whole incident is just so insane that that who knows, that anything could apply. Black people, you have to prepare for this. Like I've been telling you, stop shopping, stop spending your money with these white businesses. That's the only way that you guys will get the attention, that we will get the attention that we need to actually stop this, and prepare for this kind of stuff. If you are living a place where you can't be armed, you're gonna, like New York. I grew up in New York, and you can't carry any weapons on you in New York. So you just have to pay attention to your surroundings. Look out for white people who may not just start a fight with you, bump into you, and then when you react, pull out a knife, cut your throat, and then be like, I was scared. That black person was acting irrational. I had to kill them. Just pay attention to your surroundings. Try to separate from these people as much as possible. Figure it out. Talk amongst yourself. Black people, if you sit on your hands and you don't do anything about this, don't change patterns, don't make any modifications, it's only going to get worse, because it's going to send a message to white society that, well, we can do this stuff to these black people because they won't do anything to fight back. So figure it out, and good luck out there.